What's up guys, welcome back to WyldeWillow. So lately I have been selling a lot of acrylic hat patches to fellow makers. And yes, I have some other videos on my channel that kind of go over how to press these patches, but for today's video I really want to dive in deep and get very detailed on how to press these patches, so hopefully I don't have to make another video again. So yes, this video is for my customers, but also for my viewers. If you guys have never messed around with acrylic hat patches, this video is for you. We are going to get into the details of everything, and I'm going to show you guys how to press these patches. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show you guys is kind of how I have my setup and how I like to work so that I can get hats done in a timely manner. Okay, so here is our setup that we're going to be working with today. And I kind of want to tell you guys how I do things. I like to have my hats to the left of my heat press and work my way this way. All the stuff that I'm going to go over with you guys is linked in my Amazon storefront, or my hat press has its own link that I'll put down below for you guys. I use my microfiber cloth and my Dawn Power Wash to wash off my patches after they come off the heat press if they need it, because sometimes there's residue on the silicone that will go on the patches. Right here I have my hot plate, my griddle. I use this to preheat my patches. If you guys are not preheating your patches, I highly recommend getting a griddle or a hot plate. Start preheating your patches. It's going to save you so much time. On top I have a silicone sheet, so it prevents the patches from adhering to the hot plate. And then over here I have my tag gun, and I have my tags here. So I got these on Vistaprint. They're super cheap. You can customize them yourself. And I put them on all my hats, but if you guys want to get these and put these on your hats, make sure you contact your customers first and ask them if it's okay, because they might be reselling their hats. Okay, so before we get into today's video, I really want to drill it into your heads to not hyper focus on the heat settings that I provide you. The heat settings that I give you guys is just a starting point. Everybody does things differently. Everybody's machines are different. So this is just what works good for me, and it's just a good starting point for you guys. What I really want you guys to focus on are the signs that I go over of too much pressure, not enough heat, too much heat, those kinds of things. The things to look for when it comes to working with this material and how it reacts to heat. And lastly, this might be a lot of information and it might be overwhelming at first when I talk about the heat griddle and everything. But just know, at first, everything is always overwhelming because you might not understand it. But with time, the more practice that you put into using this material, it gets a lot easier, and it gets easier really quick. So just be patient with it and do not give up if you're serious about running these acrylic hat patches. Okay, so step one, you want to preheat your griddle. You can go ahead and turn your hat press on as well, but get this preheated. Something I learned in the past when I first started, I don't know if this is just my griddle, if it's all griddles, but what happened to me was I put all my patches on here, and then I turned my griddle on, and all my patches warped and they got ruined. Because what my griddle does, and maybe other griddles, you never know, it kicks on to a super high temp and then it drops down. I don't know why it does that, but that's what it does. So I recommend preheating it and then putting your patches on. So I'm going to turn the temperature up on my griddle to show you what your patch is not supposed to look like whenever it is heating up on this thing. Okay, so something to look for whenever your griddle is too hot is whenever you go to pull a patch up, one, it's freaking scalding hot, but the other thing is when you pick it up and it bends like that. That's too much bend. This one, you see that? It should not be like that when you pull your patch off. Okay, the other thing to look for is, as you can tell, this patch is warping up. That means that your griddle is way too hot, and most likely this patch is ruined because it's starting to indent there and it's just changing the shape of it. So that's something to look for as well. You don't want your patch to look like that. I wanted to show you guys something with these shiny acrylics. So this is how the patch is supposed to look. As you can see, it's kind of reflective on the stripes in here. And that's how it's supposed to be. But sometimes when your patch gets too hot on the griddle, it might not warp like this, but it's this shiny material. But what it will do when it's too hot is it will make it this like dull look in here. So that's another way to tell that your patch is getting too hot, is if it's changing the shiny into dull. Okay, so I turned my griddle down. And before I tell you guys heat settings, you really need to pay attention to the signs that I just went over with you guys. Each patch that you're using, if it is a different shape, a different size, and sometimes the color or material itself in the acrylic, it all matters on how it's going to react to the heat. So my recommendation for starting off to set your griddle to a temperature for smaller patches that are like this, I would recommend setting your griddle to 200 degrees. The adhesive on the back, I use LoneStar adhesive. It is activated at 200 to 210 degrees. And for bigger patches like this, I would set my griddle to 250 degrees. But if you're just starting out, I recommend starting on the lower end because you can always add more heat. Once your patch is ruined, it's done. You can't fix it. So it's always best to start low and work your way up with the heat. So I take the paper off the back of the acrylic and then I put them on the griddle to preheat. Okay, I got my patches on the griddle. This is a very important step that you need to do or else you're going to waste material. So normally, if I'm working a job, I'll put 5 of the patches on the griddle and I wait 10 minutes and I watch the patches very carefully and look out for all the things that I just went over with you to see if any of those things are happening. And at that point, I adjust my temperature just by a little bit, little bits. If I have to turn it down or turn it up, I do a tiny bit at a time. Okay, so we have our patches on and I waited the 10 minutes, and something that I noticed is that when I lifted this up earlier, it was too flexible. So the heat was too high. And like I mentioned before, the material, the acrylic material, certain colors react differently to the heat. I'm not really sure why, but these red, white, and blue tri-layer acrylic patches, they heat up a lot faster than some of my other tri-layer acrylic patches. So I did have to turn the temperature down a little bit. Now they're ready to go. Something to look for to be able to tell that your patch is ready is when you lift it up, it's not very flexible, but you can flex it if you wanted it to. And it's also sticky. You can hear it. Ow, and it's hot. So now I know that these are ready to go. So if I was running a normal job right now, at this point, once I know my patches are good, I waited that 10 minutes and they're on point, I would put on more patches on my griddle. Fill that bad boy up if you want. If you're feeling confident. If you're still a little unsure, just do like 10, 15 and go from there. And what makes this process super fantastic is that you no longer have to preheat your hats on your heat press. You have all your patches ready to go and you're saving a lot of time. Okay, so before we press our hats, let's talk about our heat presses. Right here I have the Stahls Fusion IQ. I did not start off with this heat press. It actually took me quite some time to bite the bullet and purchase it because it is a little pricey. But when I first started off, I did have the Viver heat press. I'll link them down below. It's super affordable. But one of the issues that I had when using that heat press is I had a lot of creases and dents after pressing. So what I did is kind of like, this isn't the base of it, the base platen, this is an old one. But I did the same method on the Viver heat press. I got a microfiber cloth and folded it and then used heat tape to tape it down. And the whole objective is to build up the center of the heat press or the base platen on the Viver so that you don't have any pockets in there. Whenever your hat is on the base platen on the Viver, whenever you press down on it, there shouldn't be any air pockets in there. That's how you run into getting creases and dents in your hat. When I finally invested into purchasing my Stahls Fusion IQ, I was absolutely thrilled about it. Like, this has saved me so much time. I love this heat press. A cool setting that it has is you're able to save settings inside of it. So I have one for my leatherette, my Romark, my double layered patches, and you have them stored right in here. It is an auto release and it heats from the base and the top. It's a fantastic heat press. I would not buy another one because they are very pricey, but a second option that's kind of in the middle between the Viver and the Fusion IQ is the heat press from LoneStar Adhesive. I want to get one very soon as my secondary heat press so I can do more hats at once. I've heard a lot of fantastic things about that heat press, so I'm eager to try it out. So those are my top 3 recommendations for you guys. Okay, so for our heat settings, Our top plate is going to be 225, our base platen is going to be 290, and our time is going to be 25 seconds. A cool feature on this also is you can add another second press and customize the time and the temperature. We don't need to do that because we're already preheating our patches, so we're just going to stick to one press. I pressed one hat with too much heat and too much pressure to kind of show you guys the results and what to avoid or look out for. So as you can see, there's like a residue ring around the edge of the patch. That's from the adhesive. So if you're seeing that, that means you need to adjust your heat and or your pressure. Okay, so right here is our lower base platen. I purchased this from LoneStar Adhesive. It's for a 112 hat. This is the original that it came with. And even with this Fusion IQ, I still had to build up the base platen with the microfiber cloth and heat tape because I was running into issues with creases and dents. But once I purchased this, it has been a game changer. And yes, it's for a 112, but I use all my hats on this and I have not run into an issue with it at all. I no longer have any dents, any creases in my hats. So I really highly recommend you guys getting one of these. They are out of stock right now, but you can get notified on their website whenever they do come in stock. Okay, so we're finally going to press a hat, but before we do it, I want to talk about the pressure. So my pressure gauge on my machine does not work. I know I could reach out to customer support, but honestly, I don't think I would use it. I like to go off of the feel of it. And a lot of people that I've talked to that do hats also go off of the feel of it. So what I use is a medium pressure. If you're just starting off, do a low to medium pressure because you can always add more pressure if you need it. Okay, so we are going to be using a 169. This is just a scrap hat. I took a previous patch that I messed up off. So when you put it on here, there's a little groove on your base platen. You want to take your inside of your bill out, and you want the seam of your hat to fit on that brim of the base platen. And then you're going to tighten it down. Put our hat patch on. And because we preheated our hat patch, the patch is tacky enough. It's okay if it's not sticking on the sides. As long as it's stuck in the middle and you go like this and it's not moving, you're good to go. Then we're going to put our silicone over the top.
Don't judge the hat itself because this is a scrap hat, but this is the patch on the hat. Turned out good.
So you're going to put your hat on, flip your brim out. And then whenever your hat's on, you want to turn it to where the patch is going to be dead center of your top plate, like that. And another thing with your corner patches, you don't want to get it too low to the seam or too far over here. Probably even bring it up a little bit. You want to bring it up a little bit because sometimes the top plate won't press and it won't receive enough heat if it's lower down. And because we preheated our patch, that's not going anywhere, so it's ready to go. Now we can press. Okay, so our corner patch is done, and ignore the hat. These are all scrap hats that I'm using today, so they have imperfections. But a good way to tell if your patch is on good is you can use your fingernail and try to lift up on it. You can also look and see down in here if there's any lifting or like pockets. If there is, you just need to repress the hat a little bit longer, but this one looks good. So when it comes to my process on how I press hats, the most important thing is to always keep a hat on your heat press. No matter what, as soon as one's done, another one is going back on. So when I'm running a job, the first 5 hats that I do, I stop right then and there. I'm not pressing any more hats, and I go back to those 5 hats that I've done, and I like to check them to make sure that all my settings look good, my pressure's good, the heat's good, and the patches are adhering to the hat perfectly. So if you guys want to start messing around with this acrylic yourself and start making your own custom patches, you totally can. I get my material from LoneStar Adhesive. I also get my leatherette and my adhesive from them as well. I highly recommend them. They have a vast variety of materials to choose from. I have a discount code that I'll put up here for you guys. You guys can get 10% off. I also have some videos on my YouTube channel that kind of talks about this material a little more if you guys are interested. All right, everybody, so that's it for today's video. I really hope I was able to give you as much information as possible so that you're able to start messing around with these acrylic hat patches. If you guys are not yet subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'm always trying to put out helpful videos for everybody. Everything that I can link, I'm going to link down below. And if you guys have any questions at all, you can either put it in the comments, reach out to me on Instagram, or via email. I'm happy to help you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you next time. Peace out.